Welcome to the StrongmanSay. Today we have Australia's strongest and sleepiest man, Mr. Josh Patacca.
How's it going?
Joining us on the podcast today. Welcome.
Thank you.
Today we're going to kick off with just like a bit of an overview of, the biggest comp of the year, Australia's strongest man and Australia's strongest woman.
Yeah, probably a lot better than last year's in terms of like crowd, hype, getting bigger and bigger each year.
It was awesome.
The crowd was huge.
Great
I wasn't
events.
expecting that.
Yeah.
It's meat stock, beer, meat.
I was talking to Josh just before about it. We bumped into someone after the competition because I was just hanging out with Barry from Northside, and he was like, "Oh, check out the car over there." So we went over and checked out this car, and then the lady whose husband's car it was like, "You guys are the strongmen." We're like, "Yeah." Did you watch it? It's like everyone was there. It was like, I think it was quite obvious. Like, it was quite a few people cycling through, checking out some of the events.
Yeah.
When they got the chance to.
When you see a grandstand that's like still full between events, normally people like flood out, come back in between events. When it stays reasonably full for the whole day, that's a good sign.
Yeah, I was wandering around and someone said, "Oh, you guys here for the strongman?" We're like, yeah. It's like, "Oh, it's over there. Yeah, we can hear it."
Yeah.
Like the whole showgrounds can hear everybody screaming.
Thanks, Sam. Also.
Yeah, but the crowd just roared when someone was like close, or for some of the deadlifts that were like grinds or whatever the event was where it was like close.
Yeah.
The crowd was just like deafening. It was really, really cool. It made me super jealous because we haven't had a good crowd like that in Strongman in Australia for quite some time.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's been the biggest outside of expos.
Arnold's used to be that. Right? Arnold's used to be grandstand, big crowd.
Oh, that's where I first saw you guys competing. Yeah. What would that have been, like 2014 or something?
2015 to 2019.
Yeah, I think
it's
it's probably the 2015 one, because that's the one Eddie Hall did his world record deadlift or something at, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the very first Arnold's that crossed from Fit
FitX.
Yeah, because me and my cousins used to go to the FitX one, and then when it was the Arnold's, we were like, this is like America. Like, there was some famous people there.
Yeah, they had really big names first year. They had Eddie, Brian, Zadrunas came the second year.
Thor was so big.
The crowd.
He had his daughter, and it's like not even she's not even the size of his forearm yet.
Yeah, we should have had like a hashtag or tag thing up for ASM. Because I saw heaps of people in the crowd when someone did something, everyone just pulled out a phone.
Yeah. People that weren't even...
No, people that
had no idea about
Strongman,
Strongwoman. People were filming it. It was really, really cool to see. But an awesome weekend. Not just from the crowd perspective, but the competition, how it ran, officiating, the whole deal, I thought was one of the better comps that we've seen come together.
Yeah, it was heavy. It was simple.
Yeah, simple
And it worked
strongman,
well.
heavy, and the competitiveness in the groups. Like a few standout players in both weight classes over the 8 events, but some really, really tight competition for some of those places, especially like in both classes. We saw, 1 and 2 kind of pull away, but third, like the podium spot was really, really highly contested in both groups.
It's like half a point between 5 of the women or something, wasn't there?
It's crazy.
Yeah. It was like, if
It was
one of
going
them
into stone to shoulder, it was all super, super close.
Yeah, that was wild. And it's like, you could have been 6th or 8th or whatever, or 3rd, depending on how you went in stone. I think the way that Sam was announcing, he sort of made it clear to the crowd that that's what was going on. So I think it sort of G'd everyone up a bit.
Yeah.
Make them realise how close the competition is and what the standard is.
There was probably 4 events like that though.
Yeah.
If you look at the tyre flip, there was probably 5 places within 10 seconds.
Both
men
men's
and
tyre
women.
was so brutal.
Day 1 was super tight.
The Quest stone carry.
Yeah.
I think the distance from the women coming 4th and 1st was half a lap.
Yeah.
The grip event was kind of the same as well.
Yeah.
So could have flipped the points so many different ways.
Yeah.
Yeah. Heck. Yeah. No, I think the highlight of the stone carry though was Ryan going full nap mode halfway through his carry.
That was one of the most
And
impressive
Chris
things.
The track's over there, man. He's like, oh, sorry.
One of the most impressive things that I saw was there was a strongman guy, Joshy, who the Quest stone carry. It's 170 kilo stone. He picks it up, takes 3 steps, looks wobbly as fuck.
Yeah.
Like, and we're all betting on him taking this event. Like, I was like, he was a big guy, he moves well, he's athletic. Like, this
Long
should be his
arms.
event. Long arms, so he can get right around it.
Yeah.
And he takes 3 or 4 steps. I'm like, what's going on? And he steps into the middle of the circle, looking totally dazed.
Yeah, pale.
Pale, and he literally just like blacked out standing up. Didn't let go of the stone. Like, literally was just like in an absolute daze. Sean said, you got to step back out of the circle. And I spoke to Sean, and his words were, "Which way?"
Where am I?
And then proceeded to jump back into the ring and then win the event.
What? Yeah, he did like 3 or 3.5 laps or something
Wild.
like that.
That was really impressive.
Yeah, and then when he went to put the stone down, it was fairly graceful for the first half of it, and then he dropped it because it was obviously heck.
Highlight of the weekend?
Women's axle was good.
Yeah, mine too.
was wild.
Women's axle was good.
That was wild.
And the
Yeah.
fact that we have women that can even get close or challenge a world record has never been the case for overheads.
Yeah, agreed.
Like, the women have always been behind on deadlifts, static strength.
Yeah.
So that's a huge step.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Men,
that was
hard to
actually
say.
wild though.
Men, the deadlift's really impressive. Kind of similar thing. Like, the heavyweight men have never been able to, through depth, deadlift that heavy.
Not that many people at that
No.
top
It
end.
was pretty
Never.
wild though. We had like 4 people at the 360. Like, that's what, like nearly 800 pounds. Like,
Yeah.
you don't get a heap of people at most comps. In
You
Australia
rewind
doing
like a
that.
couple of years
You
for
used to be
Australia's
able to
strongest
deadlift
man.
more than most heavyweights.
Yeah, like I could compete in the deadlift. Not now.
Yeah.
Like, it's
Not with Hank
the
around.
depth.
Not with Hank around.
Yeah, not with around. Damn him and his levers.
RPE 2, 390.
Yeah, like 400 up. Yeah, 100%. Like, the 390 was ridiculous.
I love him walking up every time he had an attempt, and the crowd's going nuts. Like, yeah, this is Hank. He's going to be great. And he's just sort of like,
Yeah, he's just
come on, guys.
so
warming up.
chill. Yeah, yeah. I'm
It's
warming
like,
up.
Bro, it's only 390. What are you-
Yeah, he's like, shh,
Yeah.
don't make a fuss.
I think definitely my like peak highlight was the female axle though.
Yeah.
Like, that doesn't get much better than that. Nicole winning.
Yep. Katie winning.
Yeah. Overall and
Yeah.
stuff like that. Like, Nicole winning.
Yeah.
No real big surprise there.
She's a freak. She's absolute
consistent,
unit.
but has
Yeah.
also got the most experience too.
Very strong.
Experience.
And
Experienced.
very level-headed backstage.
One of the
very
best
calm.
built heavyweight strong women, or like open strong women that we have.
Yep.
She's just like built for strong women.
Well, she's been doing it for like over a decade
Super
now.
experienced and just super strong. And she's just so consistent across all the events. Like,
Yeah.
she didn't really have a bad event across the days.
Yeah. Tire flip was probably the worst.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, the tires were they were quite interesting because I remember Mason really wanted someone to go up and test the equipment at one point.
Yeah.
So I went up with Fatty and Jihad, and they actually obviously I think your initial reaction with like a tire is you think like I'll just sort of go like a sumo stance, or go like hands inside my knees sort of thing if you don't know anything about flipping tires.
Yes.
And they went to do that, and there's just no grip because like the angle of the tread meant that you didn't have any grip. You have to use your chest against it, which I think is like sort of what people accept.
You got to
as,
also
like,
remember
better
when you
to
take your
do.
hands out wider, you gain a lot of height
Yeah,
on
at the
that
top.
pick too,
Yeah.
versus like having a long arm at the bottom. You're
Yeah.
not really getting any height or leverage from the tire. So,
Yeah.
I mean, most guys, I think all guys went a wider hand position, close foot position.
Yeah, the wider you could go, the better, because
Yeah.
you can get your chest lower, because it was a heavy tire, but it was also very low for a heavy tire.
Yeah.
It was dense.
Yeah.
Like our one here is
little
probably
bit
the
taller.
same weight or lighter.
Probably a little
but
bit
it's
lighter.
like tall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you don't have to like wedge yourself down.
Female podiums. So we've got Nicole, Megan Clark, Nicole White.
Yep.
Huge podium. Great job.
Yep.
by all.
Two essentially 82s.
Yeah, exactly. Like 82s coming up to the females, like that
Yep.
opens and sort of giving it a red hot crack, which is super impressive too. Because is Nicole doing middleweights?
Yep.
As well, so like
Yep,
both
so
will be
they're
at
both doing
middleweights.
And Holtzfeller after that.
Yeah, both
Just doing the full meat
yeah.
stock tour.
Yeah.
So like both those
Kinda like
82s
Jerez.
going to middleweight series after doing ASW
Yep.
as well, and podiuming, which is massive because it shows the level that our 82s are at.
Yep.
It probably also shows that compared to the heavyweight men's at the moment,
Yep.
we sort of still need to see the heavyweight women sort of come up a little bit as well, to the
Yeah.
point where like the depth is some people pushing Nicole a little bit harder.
That's the deepest women's lineup
ever
in the country.
Ages, yeah,
by
for
far.
sure. The fact that the weight class athletes are at such a high level,
Yeah.
and they're hitting those kind of loads and giving it to open women, is enormous as well. So really, really impressive. And then obviously Josh, number one, Australia's strongest man.
Number one.
But then also like a huge podium like Ryan coming second. So two relatively unknown players at an ASM coming through, people that no one really had any idea of.
Ryan is so tall.
He's a big guy.
He doesn't look tall in videos.
Yeah, I was like watching his videos of his yoke, and I was just like, oh, that must be like one of the shorter versions of like the stand-up submit yoke and da da da. Just because his proportions, and then you see him in real life, and you're like, oh hi.
Yeah, like when we
Could
first,
carry another 10, 15 kilos so comfortably.
yeah, when we first went to New South,
That's the
when
scary
we went up
thing
there
too.
to coach. Yeah, that was the first time I like met him in person because
Yeah.
I've been coaching him, and I was just like, "You're taller than Corey."
Yeah. He's
Not what I was expecting.
That's what's Corey.
Yeah.
Must be like 6'5". Or
Yeah, he's
something.
tall. He's
But
still tall.
Ryan's
He's
like
big.
6'6" or something.
Yeah.
yeah.
Taller than me.
And then Macaulay, so all three debutants, like all new
Yep.
players in the ASM field, sort of
Yeah.
taking that out.
I mean, I got my prediction right for who won.
Yeah,
I picked you.
100. Well, we both picked.
Yeah.
We both picked the winners as Nicole and yourself.
Yeah. I wrote down event by event because I wouldn't be able to just pick 3 names and sort of went, oh yeah, everyone will go
Did the
here,
maths.
and then did the math, and then you popped out on top, and I was like, well, you don't really have a bad event.
Yeah.
It's also really hard to pick because, like, you're a good example of this, but there's a lot of examples of this where a lot of the competitors, like Leigh and I have been doing this for 8-9 years now. I've been to 4 or 5 ASMs and competed. I've coached at pretty much every ASM that's been here since I started coaching, basically.
Yeah.
And I've seen all the guys and the girls for quite some time. Over COVID, there's this like 2-year break. When the last 2 years, there's a lot of new names and faces coming into the sport that like we really have no idea who they are. Like we haven't really seen them compete in a lot of big comps or comps that are kind of like, in fairness, over our side.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like if they're this side or the other side of Australia or wherever it might be. We don't know who a lot of these players are, even like New South Wales and Queensland.
It's because all the heavyweights don't post anything.
Yes. Yeah.
And
100%.
like they're terrible at it.
Yeah.
we're busy napping.
Like if you come into a comp and you're just like, oh, why don't you think I'll do well? It's like because you don't post anything.
Yeah.
That's
Or
what
we don't
that's
know
what
you.
was so hard to pick.
Yeah,
Because like
or like you haven't been in it long enough to be a name that is like a familiar name in the sport that we're aware of yet, because it takes time.
Oh yeah, I've only
Macaulay's
been in the
posted
strongman
nothing.
world for like,
I said, Macaulay's posted nothing.
No.
So
Yeah.
all I've got to
Yeah,
go
not
off
much.
is
Yeah.
Tamworth
Yeah.
2018 when I saw him ages ago when I went down there.
Yeah, I think like I tried to put up just like some heavy stuff. I'm trying to get my head around like being comfortable with like posting more stuff on social media, because I find I feel like I'm getting into like a bit of a rut and like staring at my phone too much if I like start posting heaps.
Watching memes.
Yeah, monkey memes.
Monkey memes.
No, he's getting like endorphins from all the likes. All the likes, all the
Now he's on
shares.
it. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
like, oh, gratitude.
Oh, I only got 50 likes, delete. Scrap that.
Yeah, I think it definitely helps though with the exposure for the sport, because like a lot of those top guys, like I've noticed AS is getting on top of this as well. Like they're resharing a lot of the stuff.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize this until I sort of spoke to Fatty, like at the comp, but you know, you've got like World's Strongest Fan is like a great example of this. You got pages out there where if you are sharing content, it sort of like builds your name and a bit of like awareness for, you know, what you're good at. And
For you as an individual and us as a sport in Australia, and Leigh and I are so big on this as well, because people need to be posting content to put us on the map and for us to get a look in for bigger comps or to get the country recognition as a strong man country.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because for so long, we're just the fucking island on the other side of the world. Do you know what I mean? Like,
oh, that's just the skips.
yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like there's countries where everyone's like, oh man, they're just so strong over there. So like Australia didn't get a mention there for a long time, and it's definitely starting to. Like we're definitely putting people on the map, or like athletes putting themselves on the map, starting to put us on the map as a country who compete in strength sports.
Yeah, I think when we started doing the sport though, like you just post it every day, or like you just post it every week because like it didn't really matter.
Yeah, it's
it wasn't
a different
super
game
competitive.
now.
It was just like a journal.
Yeah.
So we're just so used to that, we continue on. The women are generally great for it, but that's why there's so much hype coming into comp, because everybody knows what everybody's been doing. They know their ups, their downs. Well, you're attached to the journey.
I noticed that with the overhead stuff actually online, like with the women. Like you saw, like I think Nicole like posted like a 115 or something.
Yep.
Then Katie posted like
pushes people too in training.
Yeah, they all start like posting it up and like you know. Yeah, I think
heavyweights are just too cool.
Fingers are too fat for the phone. They need a tablet.
Touch screens are a curse. All the buttons at once.
It's which is fine if you just want to fly under the radar, but obviously if everyone flies under the radar, then no one knows you exist. As a sport, no one knows what the heavyweights are doing. So
So ASM, and you won ASM. Congratulations.
Thank you.
How was your lead up to ASM? Like, you've been in the sport for 12 months, 18 months, like not long, right?
Yeah. Well, I think obviously I've got a bit of like competing experience and like a bit of experience with training. Yeah, maybe
we step it back for you a little bit and start with the other side.
Day one in the gym.
Yeah, so like day one in the gym, right? Like, so sports as a kid. So
20 what was it, 2014 at Maz's gym.
When were you born? 2010?
I'm only like 3 or 4 years younger than you, man. Yeah. Someone told me he thought I was 23.
Yeah, I was just like 24, 25. Yeah. Like, no, 27. He's old. Yeah. Oh, he's past his prime. It's fine. Yeah. He's got one year left.
No, I think I started training like in the gym for like sport and stuff like that, like basketball. And,
so did you play sports as a kid?
Yeah. I played a fair bit of basketball. I think the only other sport I really played at school was table tennis because that became an option in VCE. Right, so I was like, I
had an injury when I was a kid. I couldn't leave the house.
Tore my calf on a powerful overhand. So I switched to table tennis because I was starting to like get into the gym. That's actually like why I did that. So
you started going to the gym for table tennis, or you started going to the gym because you were playing table tennis only?
No, I started going to play table tennis as my Saturday sport because it was compulsory at school. Okay. I started playing.
What school did you go to?
Melbourne Grammar. Yeah, they have Saturday sport. Yeah. Anyway, so I started doing table tennis when I found that you could do, like they had like a really good gym at school.
Yeah.
So I was just doing that because then I wouldn't be cooked from sport during the week and training and all that. And like table tennis training was literally like just go and get like the tables out and like play or whatever. Yeah. So I think after like year 11, like we did like a summer season for basketball as well. I was in the first for that. I was like, this is really good, but like a lot of these guys are looking to like get scholarships overseas and stuff like that, and they're a bit taller than me and they're a lot better. And I'm like too big. I'm like the strong kid, and I don't want to do rugby either. Yeah. So yeah, I spoke to the teachers, and they put together like a table tennis team. And I did that.
Josh wants to save his game, so he wants to move over to table tennis.
And I did. I was doing bodybuilding training, like in the gym, like we all do, like getting my programs off bodybuilding.com. And then after maybe like 2 or 3 years of that, like when I was about 17, I started training at a local commercial gym, and some guy just came up to me and went, "You just did 180 kilos with no warm up on the deadlift, and like I know you've never done that exercise before because your form was shocking. Have you thought about powerlifting?" Yeah. So his name was Kelvin, really really good dude. He like gave me like my soft suit, knee sleeves, belt, all that sort of stuff, which introduced me to like the idea of the strength training community and like how supportive it is. Yeah. And I ended up sticking with that for like maybe 8 years. I went overseas a couple of times with that. Yeah. And then over COVID, did like a massive weight cut, lost a lot of strength because I thought I was going to join the army. But then ended up getting a trade locally, so I started doing that. Yeah. And then, moved down here.
So when you can give us a bit of a history of your powerlifting career.
So powerlifting, where did I start?
So you started at like 17, 18 by the sounds?
Yeah, so my first comp, I got the deadlift and the total national record for the sub-juniors.
Yeah, in Federation?
Powerlifting Australia.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can't hold that against him, can you?
Hey, look, I don't know.
It was the thing back
You
then.
trained at Maz's gym though, right?
Yeah.
Was that allowed?
See, that seems like the opposite, right?
No, but Wilkes seemed to make a lot of special exceptions for me. I think once you get like a national record, it doesn't matter where. It's like, you know.
Plus, Maz is kind of scary, so.
Yeah. Oh, Maz actually introduced me to Strongman. Like he was. I think he was trying to like sort of egg me on. Huh?
I forgot he did it for a little while, for a brief moment.
Yeah. Well, he was trying to convince me to do it. So he had me like doing like Atlas stone lifts and stuff like that. And like I'd invite my mates down because I'm like, this guy just has like these boulders and the sticky stuff you put on your arms. And he's just like, and then like there's this weird like log implement like you can put over your head, and like the way he deadlifts as well. Like sometimes you're doing it on blocks or wagon wheels or whatever. It was like so much fun just doing like a variation of it. Yeah. Because I just obviously been doing squat, bench press, and deadlift. Never touched the overhead. Never touched like some weird looking
very
implement.
much like specific, like the way they usually program in PA is very like a lot of sub-maximal stuff, a lot of high frequency squat, bench, deadlift, or like accessories.
No deadlift.
Well, I did 5-3-1 to start with.
Okay,
and then I did the
everyone's intro.
What's the what's that bench press and squat peaking program where it's like Smolov. Yeah, I did Smolov. I did Smolov Junior like twice in a row for one of my comps. Came out with like horrendous joint pain, like in my elbows and knees, and like my back was sore. And then after that, my mate Kelvin, who got me into powerlifting, he's like, you need to get a coach. He's like, he might not be the best. He might not be like, you know, like have like a lot of good standing in the sport as a whole. But like Wilkes, go see him, go to Melbourne Uni. Like there's a lot of like really knowledgeable people.
But he did have good standing in the sport at that time.
Yeah, people still thought he was a bit...
Not across other federations.
Yeah.
But in powerlifting Australia.
Yeah, but it's like, it's easy when you're the one who's like paying for everything out of your pocket to be seen as like... Yeah. I don't know. He did do a lot of good things for like athletes and stuff. Like there was some... Like I remember one of my mates, Tony Ryanmuth, he was like between jobs at one point, and like he ended up just paying for all his flights, his accommodation, everything to get him over to Worlds. Yeah. So like I'll definitely like credit him with that. Like he did do some good stuff back then, but yeah, obviously it's a bit of a questionable character these days. I think when I started training with him, I like walked in and I did some like lifts, and he's just like, it's terrible, you know, like he was watching my squat and I was like doing a squat morning. And he's just like, you go down and it's fine, and then it just falls apart. You're useless. You need coaching. You need a psychologist. And he just did say like every session, he just abused me. Yeah, which like somehow like made me train a little bit harder. And
Suddenly you seem nice.
Yeah.
You can ramp up.
Yeah. No, that's why. You wonder why I'm so calm at like competitions and stuff. I haven't got like this old man screaming at me going like, useless. Like, sit down.
You give it another 5 years.
So you went to Worlds in those times?
So I qualified for IPF Worlds in 2017, but I got a nearly grade 3 tear in my pec. Like I nearly fully ruptured the lower fibers in my pec on the right hand side. So I dropped out of it because I just thought like I had I don't know how to say his name. It's Palav Yakonechny. You know the guy is World's Strongest Man now, and like did the Arnold's just recently. Yeah, like he won that one, I think. Yeah.
Not small.
Small. Well, he was not small then. He was like 155 kilos and lean. Like he had abs. Yeah. No, he so like he won that one, and I think there was like I think Luke Richardson was also potentially at that one. But like I missed out on like meeting all these cool people there. I was kind of bummed. But so I dropped out of that one, and I ended up doing nationals that year afterwards. Still with a hole in my pec, but I still managed like a 185 bench. And I totaled I think 800.
At what body? What age?
That was 20.
20 years old. 800 kilo total.
Yeah.
Squat, bench, dead.
I think squat was 300. Bench was 180 something, and then deadlift was 310 or 315.
You're a bit bigger back then, weren't you?
I'm actually a similar size to what I was when I did that total. When I did World Powerlifting Worlds in 2019, I think I was about like 156 or 158 or something.
A little bit heavier.
Yeah.
What were your numbers there? This is in sleeves also, by the way.
So I just come off of like a lot of patellar tendinopathy, so there wasn't a whole lot of change in my squat. It was a lower RPE 300 still. I did like a 205 or a 210 bench. and I did a 320 or 325 deadlift. Yeah, so I think that was like an 830 total that I did there. Yeah. But as I said, I had like a long period where I was working with a different coach after Wilkes just to sort of like repair my body because I got quite banged up doing the Wilkes style of training.
And so what led you into strongman? Like what was the instigator for you to start leading into strongman?
A few things. I did, there was a charity comp that Sam Lassurf ran called Lifting for Luca.
Yep.
So I went and did that with a few of my powerlifting buddies. And well, like speaking of Tony Ryanmuth, I mentioned earlier, he did that with me, and one of my mates, Nick. They, we like just rocked up to have a bit of fun, and I saw like Fatty and Jihad there, and like I already knew who Sam Lassurf was and who like Josh Bourne and stuff were. I think they were running it. I knew them through Buddha because I think I was living in Greensboro with him at the time, in Melbourne. But yeah, after I did the comp, I think I came fourth or something, and then Buddha was just like, have you thought about becoming like a lightweight strongman? I'm like, nah, man, I want to be a heavyweight again.
Yeah.
So I was like, I think I was like 110 at the time.
Yeah.
Like I'd done a massive weight cut over COVID.
Yeah.
It was like a 45 kilo body weight drop. And yeah, he just went, like, well, I think you should definitely like consider at least trying like a lightweight comp or do like a novice heavyweight one.
Yeah.
So I think I signed up for Compound, I think was my next one at Compound Chaos or Carnage or whatever it's called.
Oh,
the first
Conception?
Nah, that's that was the Adelaide comp.
Yeah, it's just the first one.
Yeah. The one that we
Out
did.
at the Compound. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was the second Compound Chaos that he ran.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Not
that
the
was
one we did.
Oh,
no.
another one.
No.
Yeah. No, you did the original one.
Yeah.
I think I did the second one. That was the one where Jordan won. And I think Sean Gillen came second.
Okay.
And yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that was my first comp with you.
Yeah.
Yeah. The one where I like passed out on the frame carry. Like right at the end.
Yeah.
Last 2 meters of the carry.
Oh, yeah, I remember this.
Yeah. There's a few meme videos out there. Anyway, did that one. And then I think the next one was Battle in the Bay.
Yeah.
And then Northside Strongest, VIX, and then ASM.
Yeah. So 5 comps.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Very different to powerlifting. Like, very different. Because in powerlifting, you're obviously like trying to like win the lifts.
Yeah.
Because like that's, you like need to have the highest lifts overall to get the total.
Yes.
Whereas like strongman's very different. It's like you can just consistently be pretty good at everything.
Yeah. I mean, the idea is to win everything.
Yeah, 100%.
Nice.
Yeah. But 100. The goal is to have as little holes as possible and lose as little points and do really well in your strong events, I guess.
You can also just take second on an event, even though you could win it, if you're trying to save
Save
it.
energy.
Yeah.
Each comp's different.
Yeah.
Depends who you're competing against and how tight it is.
Yeah.
What made you stay? So like you did that first like sort of like introductory comp for like lifting for Luca, and then what was the key thing that sort of went, you know what, I've been a really good power lifter, but I'm going to change over and I'm going to give strongman a crack?
I think just how fun it was. Like there's so much variation in it.
Yeah.
I feel like after doing like nearly 9 years of just squat, bench, deadlift, I was pretty sick of doing the same thing over and over again.
Yeah, totally fair.
And like I don't know, like I have noticed like the longer I've done it, like the less beat up I am.
Yep.
Whereas like powerlifting, I was finding like my hips were sore, my back was sore.
Yep.
Like I had like 18 facet joint sprains or something over my powerlifting career in my lower back.
Because you're pushing for 1 rep maxes.
Yeah, all
every
the time.
single time.
Yeah.
That's the goal.
And repetitive movement patterns. It's like
it's mainly the repetitive movement,
Yeah.
but like because I think at the time like I had some weird imbalance in my hips, which was causing my like pelvis to shift.
Yep.
So yeah, it would just go and then I'd be out for like 2-3 weeks.
Yep.
And it was so frustrating. But yeah, with strongman, because you get the variation of movement, like there's a lot of dynamic stuff in there. I think it keeps me like really healthy. And obviously, like, there's a lot of like fitness stuff involved as well. So, yeah, it's nice walking up a set of stairs and being slightly less out of breath.
Moderately out of breath.
Yeah. Like, still a big guy, but yeah, like I feel fit enough to actually like do everyday tasks.
Yeah.
I try to tell a lot of people that start in strongman that like once you kind of get stronger than the comps, becomes a lot more fun and far less like taxing.
Yeah. Well,
whereas when all the comps are just above what you can do, it just breaks you
all
every
hard.
single
Yeah.
prep.
Yeah. Well, that was the interesting thing I found at ASM is because like pretty much every comp I've done, there's been people there who like the weight has just been too heavy. Like it's, you know, they're like, you know, they're going balls out. They're just like, nah, stuff it. I'll just give it a crack, which is good. Like I think it's important that people do that because it makes them train harder. They realize where the standard's at.
Yeah.
But yeah, like at ASM, I don't think there was really any events like there were a lot of events where people zeroed anything. Like I think pretty much
about that with middleweight series and ASM. We think that the loads are great, but they're not as like typically heavy as what they have been in some years as well. Like it seems that like they're very achievable for most, but also still hard. So it becomes
like still at a
competition. Yeah, still at the standard. Yeah, 100%.
Which when you look at the pro level, that's the same.
Exactly
thing,
what they do. 100%.
The pro guys deadlift a 360 axle when they can do 430, 440. But they do it for a lot of reps.
Yeah.
World's Strongest Man's the same. Like most of the winners on a Viking, a squat, a deadlift, it's like 12 reps.
Yeah, it's a lot of reps. Yeah.
Everyone's like, you shouldn't be doing 12 reps. Half the people should 0 and the winner should get 3.
It's like people do 0.
It's like, no, because that's powerlifting.
That's not a competition either, you know.
Yeah. Although I do think in terms of like the entertainment factor, I think there needs to be like a bit of a struggle because like Strongman's obviously a bit about like the show or the performance.
The good thing is with like the max events and stuff like that in there and like some rep events, there is a struggle at rep 5, you know, at the top end of the deadlift, you know, so like that's the difference, I think.
Yeah. Well, like an example at ASM, right? I feel like the tire flip, like I know I was saying it was like quite difficult to pick and like I did all 5, but like I think it was good that we had like people who sort of like didn't get a rep.
Yeah.
Maybe got 1 or 2.
The tire flip in the men
Some
is
people
really
didn't quite
actually.
make it to 5.
Yeah.
And then there were people who just blitzed it.
Yeah.
You know.
Which is kind of where it should be.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Yeah.
You lead up for ASM. How was it? Did you have a relatively good prep? Did you have any hurdles? How did you feel like your lead up for ASM went?
I really think the only hurdle I had was just like being made redundant at work.
Yeah.
Like it was perfect training wise.
I was going to say, that sounds great for a prep.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, the last 2 weeks.
Full-time athlete with 0 money, though.
Yeah, I'm pro strongman, currently looking for a day job.
We'll lift things for cash.
Yeah. I'll go lift things on the street.
We'll pick you up for cash.
You could be a busker. You can just stand on the side and like Geelong CBD.
Point at something, I'll lift it.
Yeah, lift some stuff, feed some strength, bring it back to like Strongman Circus.
I'll carry your shopping to your car for you.
Yeah. You go work at Woolworths.
Put this belt on, I'll press you over my head one-handed. The prep, I don't know, I think the only time I really experienced any like pain or like niggles or anything that sort of like sort of felt like maybe there was a bit of an issue is like after I pulled that 380, I went and saw Ben and he's like, oh, there's a few adhesions in your left hamstring here. Yeah. And I'm like, what does that mean? Like, please talk in layman's terms. It's like, I think it was a little tear. Yeah. And I was like, I barely felt it.
Yeah,
it's just like, I think it's just like an accumulative thing.
Yeah.
So like outside of that, I don't think there was really like any, like I'm used to like running into something that like sort of slows me down, but I had like really good momentum the whole way through because I stayed healthy and, you know, like training was like just really consistent. Diet was really consistent. And right up until like 2 weeks out, like just had like a really like set routine like with work and all that, and then had that 2 weeks of like I did my like heavy week and then had like my deload week. Yeah. So like the heavy
taper
week, the taper week I was like getting like 10 hours sleep a night. Yeah. And then the deload week was like the same again. Yeah. Because I obviously didn't have to go to work. So yeah, it was pretty good prep.
In the lead up, it doesn't get much better to be fair. Preps don't always go to like that.
Timing. We're almost 2 weeks out from middleweights, aren't we? I might just make myself redundant.
That is the key.
2 weeks off. All right.
In the lead up, did you think or feel like you were going to win? Like, did you have confidence that you were going to win, or did you feel like you had a chance to win?
I thought I was going to podium.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just because, like, going back to what we were talking about with, like, the unknown with, like, some of the athletes, I didn't really have any, like, way of, like, getting any, like, bearings on how strong people were or, like, what their good events were and stuff like that, which I think, in a way, like, made me really knuckle down on being, like, technically proficient and doing what I could, because I know statically some of those guys were going to be, like, absolute monsters.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, I was expecting, like, Sean Gillen and, like, Dylan Lockhart and a few of the other guys to, like, put up some massive axles. But, yeah, obviously, like, we had the yoke first, so, like, leg drive was sort of a bit of an issue for all of us. You know, like, sort of sapped us a fair bit of energy. Yeah, but I think during the prep though, I definitely had like a very good like I had a fair bit of confidence about it because everything was just going so smoothly and the numbers were going up. Nothing was a real challenge to start with in terms of like when we did get up to doing the comp weights and stuff like that. Like I'd do them and I was just like, oh, I can do this. This is pretty cool.
Yeah, I remember seeing you do 450 at, I think it was Northside. When you ran that a few weeks out. I was like, that was pretty quick.
So that was a work boot PR. I forgot my shoes that week.
No, he sent me the video and I was like, bro.
Put the right shoes on.
Yeah.
But yeah,
it was an hour and a half drive to get the right shoes. So I wasn't going back.
Adapt for anything.
I mean, you fucked it on the day, but that's all right.
Just went out guns blazing, right?
You shit, you need a psychologist. You need a coach.
It started well, and then it all just falls apart.
I told him as well, I was like, it's your first ASM. Do not rush it out of the gate. You'll get excited. Just make sure you hold your pace. And then he fucking took off when I saw him. I was like, oh, yeah, that was expected.
I said that to Ryan.
Yeah.
But he actually did it. Yeah. And he actually went really slow.
Ryan was so cool-headed like the whole day.
He was, he's very chill.
I don't know whether he was like freaking out in his head, but like he was super level-headed.
Yeah.
Like some of those guys backstage were like real, their mental game was like real good.
He's got a good understanding of like where he's at and what he needs to do to bridge that gap. And like we had a plan for Axel and things like that to be like, all right, it's strategy. Everyone's stronger, but everyone's going to probably send it. If we can get this little bit up on people and they miss their
2.5 kilos or something.
Yeah. And if people miss their thirds, like, you know, you land really well. Dumbbell just pulled that out of his ass.
Yeah, that was impressive.
The whole day it was
you
just like,
just look for one. Yeah.
He's done 100 before, but I know how challenging that big dumbbell is.
Yeah, I found it quite interesting because that felt similar to doing like a stand to submit like 10-inch circus dumbbell.
Yeah, that's what we've been trying to tell.
Everyone did better than I thought, to be honest. When I saw the size of it and like how much the weight drops.
Yeah, like people not controlling drops and losing time.
I love watching competitors, and not just ASM, but just anywhere where they drop something and the implement goes flying, and they stand there for 6 seconds waiting for someone to get it for them.
No one's coming for you,
and it's like, you threw it, go get it. Go get your toy. I just see it and I'm like, I've never done it because my first thought is just like, shit, I fucked it up. Like I've got to go run and grab it.
Yeah,
so
like
I never
waddle after it.
I never stand still for long enough to be like, is someone going to get it for me? But it just makes me laugh because I'm just like, you're just wasting time.
How'd you find your first 2-day comp? Like, how were the days for you, both days?
I was actually surprised how well I pulled up.
Yeah.
I think, obviously, like with the way that you structured the training and stuff, having like 4 events on one day for like part of that training was, I think, really good for me because it like sort of taught me how to like, because sometimes I'd have to do that on a Sunday and then come back on the Monday and like be fresh and ready to do like a heavy yoke or something. So I think practicing that in the gym really helped with like conditioning for doing that 2-day comp. It definitely like just prepared me, conditioning wise to do that because I think some of the guys like I think like Max McCall he got like food poisoning or something like that.
Yeah,
and a couple of the other guys had like niggles from the day before.
All the things.
Did he go to Nando's?
He said Nando's. Yeah, I was like, oh, not the Nando's. I love Nando's.
Yeah, Nando's is delicious.
That's I was like, I'd go to Nando's. It's a safe bet. Like Nando's is always bang on.
And rice. Yeah,
that's what happens when you steer away from salmon and.
Salmon
and sunflower seeds. Knock you around.
So like day 2 I came in, like I was expecting to have like a bit of DOMs in my lower back and stuff like that. I'd be tight in the hamstrings. I just wasn't.
Yeah.
I think just practicing that in training, which is something Jordan was saying to me as well when he was doing his like when he did ASM last year, he was talking to some of the guys and like they were saying to him like for next year, like here's some like tips and stuff like that because he's trying to like pick their brains on like what they did. So like with that and I think one thing that he took away from that was if you have like a day where you practice doing like 4 or 5 events all in one day that are like relatively heavy, when it comes to like the actual comp day, like you've been practicing doing that for your whole training cycle and you practice like what it takes recovery wise. So then when you rock up for that second day, it's like you've just done a training session the day before, and this is like the second day sort of thing.
I think also the plus was day one wasn't, besides like the yoke and the axle heavy, but the back two events weren't overly taxing.
It was pretty kindly.
It was an easy way to finish.
It was a kind afternoon leading into it. Like the rep day and the second day, starting with deadlifts and having all the reps, much harder day from a recovery standpoint.
Yeah, I feel like a tire flip and a frame hold like on those two.
Not too bad.
Yeah, 100%. And I mean, they're not super taxing events. Yeah. I think other than that though, like, just sort of like you just get the CNS fatigue like day to day, and that was about it.
What does it mean to you to win ASM?
It's pretty special. So last year, one of my mates passed away, and he was like a super big fan of Strongman. So like I used to do choir with him back at school. And he ended up going down that route. I think he used to do powerlifting and stuff at Melbourne Uni as well, like just before I got there, because he was a couple of years ahead of me. And then he went overseas and started traveling with that. And he just always upload like videos of him in like Germany or like someplace in Italy. He's like found a rock in a kid's playground. He's like pressing it overhead. He used to send me videos and stuff like that while I was doing powerlifting, because we used to always like joke about like, oh, we should both just go do strongman. Just before he passed away, I remember having a conversation with him. He's just like, I've been watching your training, man. Like, I reckon you could take ASM. I'm like, I'll win it for you. And then like obviously he's like passed now, but I think I sort of had like a motivation going into that. It was like I've sort of like made a promise that I'm gonna do it. So I think that also like made me train a lot harder. And be like consistent with stuff. Yeah.
It's all a lot.
Yeah, fair bit.
Yeah, it means a lot.
And obviously,
like people turn around and go, "Oh, yeah, it doesn't mean that much."
Get
fucked.
Yes, it does. He told me that story and another story, and I was like, "Oh, that's pretty special."
Yeah. I think like my motivation for doing a lot of these sports, like I think some guys do it for like clout and stuff like that, but like I genuinely get a lot of motivation out of like making like my parents proud and my friends proud and stuff like that. So I think that's like my main driver. And then like on top of that, like you get messages from your mates being like, oh, that was an awesome lift, man. And then they send you like a video of theirs, or like you see them go into the gym the next day and upload it up on their Instagram. Like you've just done like a heavy deadlift, and then they're going for like a PR the next day. Because they're like hyped up from watching it.
Watching what you do.
So it's sort of like, it's quite motivating, because you feel like sort of like a role model, or like a positive
100%.
influence.
I mean, you have been dubbed Australia's sleepiest man, as well as
I'm
Australia's
incredibly
strongest man.
sleepy right now.
But you've also been dubbed like Australia's nicest, it's like strongest man. Do you know what I mean? Like the nice guy to win ASM, which is also probably very true. Those who don't know Josh or like train here at Strong Geelong, he's like the guy who'll stop his set and help you unload your bar, load your bar. Like come over and yell at you if you have to do it. Like
that's my secret. It's extra volume.
All that extra lifting.
You should try personal training, bro. Do his load plates.
I was a personal trainer for a number of years. Back in Melbourne.
I think it's 3 great titles, because I think they're probably all pretty apt.
And Vix. You got the title of Vix as well.
Victoria's sleepiest man as well.
Victoria's sleepiest man. What's next? What's coming up?
Next comp's Holzfäller. So I've put in my qualifying lifts for that. I know I didn't ask for permission, but I did my 160 log yesterday.
Yeah, I saw it.
I've got to practice that position. That was a very lazy press.
No comment.
So Holzfäller, and then hopefully if I place well there and I get an ASM invite for next year, I think, because winning ASM gives you the invite for the pro show at the compound next year, I think. I think that's what I heard through the grapevine. So I'm thinking after that, be like OSG, pro show, ASM. So I think I'll probably need like a bit of an off season to like give the body a bit of a break, and then have like a good ramp up into OSG and into that like competing season at the end.
Which we haven't had many Australians go over to OSG as a heavyweight.
I don't think, and I could be wrong, I don't think we've had an open heavyweight. We've had masters.
Yeah, I don't think so.
But I don't think we've had...
I didn't want to say we haven't had any, because someone will be like, bro, I went in 2000.
How dare you?
How dare you forget me? Like
once again, heavyweight man. Post your shit.
But I don't think we really had any. And like when I've been over there like they're killers. Like the standard over there.
Well, Matt Ragg came third.
Yeah,
last year,
which is fucking
and
great.
He's a freak.
Strong.
Yeah.
So I mean, I just remember going over there and thinking like, these heavyweights don't look like our heavyweights.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They just
those 105s don't look like
yeah,
our 105s.
Yeah, they're just like, oh, what's in the chicken over there? But it's better than ours.
Big American dudes,
Pic's got abs.
They're just man, they're just huge. Like they look like 105s, but 40 kilos heavier. Like imagine a Ryan. They all look like Ryans, but carrying what Ryan should, like 150. You know, there's big guys.
How much does Ryan weigh?
Cotton?
Not enough. 130.
Not enough.
Tyler
Cotton, yeah.
I thought he was a 105 until he was like 6'5" or 6'6", and I'm like, oh, that's a big shredded guy, like traps coming down from there.
Yeah.
Just big guy. So that'll be interesting.
He'd definitely be a sleepy dude. Lots of sleep apnea going on there with traps like that.
Yeah. Chokes himself out at night.
Just Josh is rolling around OSG.
How sleepy
that
are
looks
you?
like a sleepy guy.
Yeah.
That looks like a sleepy guy. How
Do
sleepy
we have
are
a
you?
bed out back?
How much?
Where's the nap room? Have you guys got CPAPs on side? Do I need to bring my own?
Yeah. Do you have sleep pods with CPAPs in between events?
I had my first full night's sleep with a CPAP last night.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I've been trying for like
Darth
3
Vader.
weeks to do it. Huh?
I said, well done, Darth Vader.
Yeah, you kind of feel like Darth Vader or Bane.
Romanticize it however you want. Paint it black.
Yeah, paint it black. Put a helmet on, go to bed. Star Wars bed.
Get the Bane things going over.
Well, you pretty much do.
Turn the lights out. I was born in the dark. But I can't sleep. But I can't sleep.
That's what it sounds like. When I'm on my back, though, I took your advice on the side.
Yeah.
Sleeping on your side definitely works.
Yeah,
like that.
no kidding.
Yeah, Hank was bullying me about that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes
Heavyweight
it takes
things,
someone
I wouldn't
else.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. OSG. So Holzweiler, OSG, Pro Show, ASM again.
Yep.
Then we're going to get you on, I think we're talking about doing X Factor. Australia's Got Talent, maybe doing a sing as well.
I'll
maybe
roll
see
some
if you can get some
stones out.
inroad, roll some stones out, see whether you can get some. Yeah, he's been in the choir. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
So I think
Atlas
we
Stone table
could
tennis.
maybe get him onto World's Strongest Man.
Atlas Stone table
Table
tennis.
tennis.
Table
Yeah.
tennis.
What's the smallest stone that
Wheel out a
Mason makes?
table tennis table. I like it.
Just like rubber mats, like stacked up so it bounces real well.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty much everything we've wanted to cover, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
Do you have any other questions for Josh Patacca?
King Pataka.
King Patacca.
Not really. I think we covered everything.
Yeah, love it. Is there anything else you would like to say, Joshua?
Thank you for having me. This is, yeah.
Pleasure.
It's all right. Cost a lot to fly you in.
Yeah, it was. We
Quite fun.
broke the
It's
budget.
a long, arduous journey, but I made it.
Up the stairs.
If Nicole would like to come down, we'd love ASW, but you know, no pressure. If you're ever
Yeah.
down this way, you're welcome on our couch.
Yeah. That's the only problem. We're in Geelong.
Yeah,
It's not
I know.
close
It's
to
not.
anything.
No, we're a little bit out of the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not like just fly to Melbourne or like.
Look, if we could just keep the ASM, like Australia's Strongest Man, in Geelong, out of strong Geelong, we'll be sweet.
Oh, 2 years in a row.
2 years in a row is pretty good.
Yeah,
Not bad.
yeah. Maybe make it a third next
We've
year.
been giving all the heavyweights in our gym shit. We've been like, well, we're 2 for 2 with different people, so who's stepping up next year?
Nah, I'm coming back.
Yeah, I'm coming back.
Not unloading plates for those people. Are you prepping for ASM too?
Create all these like in a gym like rivalries and stuff. Yeah, like start tripping people up, like taking stuff out of their gym bag they need
Josh,
for
the
that
nice
session.
guy, strongman who's loading plates, like walks past and like just takes a plate off someone.
While they're squatting.
Yeah, while they're squatting.
You want a 20-kilo plate on there, right? It's like a 5 on there.
You're not going to win Australia's Strongest Man like that. Like they're squatting, just putting weight on. Great. Thank you for tuning in. That was Josh Patacca, Australia's Strongest Man 2023. We'll see you in a fortnight's time to discuss probably middleweight series.
Yeah, that'll be the next thing.
Yeah. Middleweight series coming in hot in 3 weeks. So stay tuned and we'll talk to you soon.
Goodbye.